200 to upwards of 300 knots, and it's surprisingly a graceful aircraft.
It has a large wing and powerful engines. That helps at low level, doesn't it?
Very well, yes. The Australians used it quite effectively during Vietnam low level, doing single bomb drops of 750-pound bombs. They would actually come in oblique across the front of our troops and do precision bombing.
Darren, what are we seeing here from the Canberra?
Mark, well, I mean, it's not very aerobatic, so he's going to be giving you just a level pass, slight topside. And because we have such a long crowd line here, and we can't clip the ends, it's quite hard to actually stand the Canberra on its wing, a bit of top rudder and fly it down. It's not a configuration it enjoys.
Now, historically speaking, the world's first jet bomber, it set speed records for an aircraft of its size, endurance records, and was used by a lot of nations, including Germany and Argentina.
Argentina, I think it's been over in India, Pakistan.
Yep.
And the RAAF were the last ones operating the Canberra as a photo recce bird. And it's probably the only aircraft they had in the inventory that could get to 50,000 feet.
Wow. Okay, but we didn't use it for photo recon, did we? We used it for, as you said, bombing and...
Bombing, ground attack, and sometimes target towing and stuff like that. A lot of them sometimes you see with the traditional yellow and black honeybee bottom.
Now, Mark is repositioning the aircraft. There's something about this aircraft that makes it not very comfortable to fly for the poor pilot. What would that be?
Well, actually, I always say it's a British cockpit, so it is not very comfortable in there. And the way the canopy is, Mark will be experiencing about 50 degrees Celsius in that cockpit with one little fan to keep him cool. So it's just a nice climbing turn. It's very quiet. You can almost say graceful.
Another thing about this aircraft, the Americans don't buy foreign aircraft as a rule. They say, well, our stuff is great, we'll use that, thanks very much. They love the Canberra. They made the Canberra under license.
Yeah, B-57, they modified the cockpit, different canopy, etc. So they actually made a proper cockpit for this, and they were using it for years and years after with NASA and things like that. So yeah, it's probably one of the very few foreign airframes that the USAF adopted. Quite interesting. And as well, the unique thing about our Canberra is the only Canberra in the world that is fully electric start. The early Avalon engines, of course, were started with a nice small artillery shell or cartridge start. But because all the cartridges are quite old, becoming a bit unstable and misfires, our wonderful engineering team at Temora developed a total electric start for this. There's 5 huge Concorde batteries in the bomb bay that cycle the engine up. When you push the start, it'll take it from 0 to about 1700 RPM inside of about a second. So it's a lot of inertia to overcome.
Concorde as in the British and French airline?
Oh, no. These are the big Concorde batteries that a lot of the aviators put into their aircraft.
Now, if we look closely at this aircraft, we'll see a red lightning flash on the tail, and there's another aircraft here, a very distinctive aircraft that we've seen at the airshow that also carries that. Can you tell us what that is?
That's the 2 Squadron emblem. So this is painted up in 2 Squadron, and we also have the 2 Squadron wedge tails. And so for the modern wedge tail, it's harkening back to the historical significance in the RAAF. And in fact, we had a spare Canberra airframe, and we shipped that to Williamtown, and it now resides outside of 2 Squadron as like a bit of a gate guardian for their squadron.
That is a great talking point to have. Now, we should point out that government aircraft factories at Fisherman's Bend, they also made this aircraft under license from English Electric.
Yes, 48 airframes for the RAAF. And interestingly enough, again, the Australians, when they built it under license, they got the wing spar metallurgy slightly incorrect. So you should never ever fly a vintage Australian Canberra. So only the RAAF Canberra still had the proper metallurgy in the wing spar.
Okay. That's a reversal of how it normally goes. There's a lot of RAAF aircraft with wing fatigue, but I don't want to start a war with Squadron Leader Whitehead.
No, that's for sure.
So we see a very steady aircraft, perfect for bombing.
It is super stable, surprisingly enough for the size, and it doesn't get jostled around a lot at low level.
retired Air Vice Marshals today? Do they still try to throw their weight around, or?
Negative, no. Air Chief Marshal Binskin is just one of the boys. He's a very accomplished pilot, starting out in the Royal Australian Navy flying Skyhawks, and he was Australia's first Hornet demo pilot.
Thank you so much, Captain Darren Crabb from 100 Squadron.
Pleasure. Thank you. Have a great day, everybody.
Well, some heavy action coming up. Call sign Hinksy.
Well, good afternoon. My name's Flying Officer Greg Hinks, and welcome to the